She doesn't even go here.
I'm bi, actually.
Excuse me. Could the ugly, untalented gays please report to the principal's office?
Hi, I'm Kurt Homo, and I'll be auditioning for the role of kicker.
Hello! Welcome to Not So Straight Nerds. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Alicia.
I am Luke.
And today we're going to be talking about the Marvel phases, specifically Phase 1 today. We're going to kind of make videos for each phase as it goes on. As we don't have something to film, might as well film something fun that we want to talk about. Fun conversation. So we're going to talk about the different movies that came out in Phase 1, including some that weren't canon and maybe now are canon, and then ask some questions. So, who's your favorite whatever? What's your favorite thing that happened or least favorite? Whatever questions we came up with. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Before we get into it,
Vibe check. How are we feeling today, Alicia?
I'm feeling better than yesterday. I don't know. I felt weird yesterday. Like, I wanted to talk about Ballerina, but I also just didn't want to, or not that I didn't want to talk. It was just weird. It was like I wasn't in the mood. I was in a weird mood where I was like, I feel like I want to talk, except my mouth is not forming words the way I want them to form words. So, I don't know. Yesterday it was a lot of, I felt like me just being like, yeah, Today I'm hoping to be more in the mindset of adding more to the conversation instead of just reacting, Sometimes it's like that. Sometimes I can't form thoughts. And so I'm just like, yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah.
Right.
Anyways, and we've never really done a video like this, so excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, I'm very excited. My vibe is I'm very excited. I'm wide awake.
Yeah.
I've been up for the past hour and a half, which is nice for a morning for me.
Probably me too. I know.
This I feel is going to be pretty maybe tangent-y, very conversation-y. There's not any real super current conversations. Maybe for some of the ones that pop up here and there, we'll kind of chime in on some of those things. But for the most part, I'm excited to have a episode where we're just kind of talking kind of in a retrospect.
Yeah.
I will say I've not watched any of these movies recently in a super heavy rewatch. I've watched these movies dozens of times.
Yeah.
So I definitely feel like I have something to say on each of these, but
Same for me, except The Incredible Hulk. I watched that earlier this year, I think, or maybe late last year. But I've only seen it that one time. So, because I think I watched it right before Captain America: Brave New World. So
Right.
yeah. I was like, okay, it's time. I have to. It's on Disney Plus for free, and I'm about to probably need to watch it. So it's time.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
anyways.
So I'm very excited to get into this.
Too. Yeah.
Before we start getting into our conversation, which is honestly just kind of loosely outlined for us, so there's not a huge order to it. We are going to talk spoilers on all of these movies.
Yeah.
So you have been warned. All of them are currently streaming on Disney Plus.
And have been for a long time. So
we're going through all the Phase 1 movies, so that's Iron Man through the Avengers. So
yeah.
and we're going to I want to try and steer away from kind of other phases, I think.
Yeah.
Kind of unpack those stories as we get to
later.
them. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about where these characters end up as compared to where they started.
Yeah.
But we're going to keep it a little vague. So up to Avengers is where we're going to get into the specifics.
Yeah.
So you've been warned if that's something you care about.
Ooh, and fun thought. I don't know if we'll ever do this, but maybe we'll do when it gets closer to Doomsday, which, is a long ways away, or before then. We might do an episode on the Fox X-Men movies.
Yeah.
Maybe? Because I feel like that's enough to be its own thing.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's not really in phases either. It was before all the phases for the most part. So, I don't know. That might be its own video. Anyways.
I feel like there's 3 trilogies for X-Men, and then the Wolverine movies, and then the Deadpool movies.
Yeah.
And then that's all of them.
And then the New Mutants.
And New Mutants I completely forget about.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Rest in peace, New Mutants.
Anyways.
Crazy. But
yeah.
I guess going right into this
right
thing,
into it.
I think the best way to start is from the beginning. So
What started it all?
I open you up. It's 2008.
What's if you wanted to start This is actually a fun question. If you, because well, you know comics way more than I do. I know what you've told me about comics, and that's it. They're too expensive and there's too many of them. It's a little overwhelming to like want to like dip my toes in. But anyways, so if you wanted to start like an MCU franchise, what character would you probably have picked to kind of start it all? Because it's not just like about your favorite character or even the most popular necessarily. It's like, what do you think is going to be the foundation of, and it can be multiple, like here there's multiple. So like how would you build it personally?
I will say, making Iron Man be the first movie was a very bold choice.
It was.
Because, you
He
know,
wasn't that popular.
I think it's really crazy because Iron Man, before this movie, was regarded as a B-list character before this movie came out. And then, and I'll never forget, it was sometime in, I think, late middle school, early high school, my dad bought these, like, potato head figures and was like... and they were Avengers potato head figures, like these tiny ones.
Cool.
And he was like, hey, so I bought these. I don't really know who these two characters are. So if you want them, you can have them. And it's Hawkeye and Black Widow. And I'm like,
dang.
These two characters, you
You
know,
know who these
from
two
the
people are?
Avengers?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I don't know who they are. They weren't around when I was a kid.
Oh,
And it's
wow.
like, oh, so that's not true. Because
you just didn't know them, I guess.
it's interesting to see kind of the retroactive I was a nerd of it all whenever things get popular.
Yeah.
Like there's some kind of like I'm in on it as well.
Yeah.
Like phenomenon that happens where it's like,
Yes.
oh, this is popular now. I was always into it.
Yeah.
And I know enough about it to fit in, but it's like, oh, really? Then you would know that these characters shared like hundreds of comic book covers with Iron Man. So I don't know. It's just fascinating to me. But it's, and you know, I don't want to shout like give my dad grief on that too much. But like that's just a thing that is.
It happens all the time.
Like, and I almost want to say like specifically in like nerd content.
Okay.
Very
Because I
much
was
in
thinking
nerd
like
content.
music, like Taylor Swift. People do that all the time with her
Sure.
different eras. Well, I was here from this era, from this era, from this era. It's like, who cares? Who cares? Whatever. I love if you discovered her today, and I loved if you discovered her, you know, the first day she started. It's the same with nerd content. I mean, I get that because it's like FOMO, but I don't know. At a certain point, sometimes when I've even been there from the beginning for stuff, I'm like hesitant to say that because I don't want to be like that person who's like, well, I was here from the beginning. But you know,
rounding back to your question,
Yeah.
Iron Man as the first entry point. It is bold.
Yeah.
I think they knew it needed to land.
Yeah.
And I think like early on you can see them putting in the work to make sure that it landed.
Yeah.
I know RDJ was also a very hot choice.
Yeah.
Maybe hot's not the right word. Controversial choice.
At the time.
Yes.
For sure.
So there was a swing there, although I think in the comics they'd already... I can't remember if he's one of the characters where like they specifically were like we started like taking inspiration. I know there's a couple. I know Samuel L. Jackson was one for Nick Fury, and then Tommy Lee Jones was an inspiration for Norman Osborn for a while.
Yeah.
And then I want to say I think Patrick Stewart as Charles Xavier. At least I remember there's a thing where he comes on set and he's like, "Why did they use my likeness in these comic books?"
Yeah.
But he just looks like him, at least especially when he was younger.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
It truly was some like perfect casting. But speaking of, I think it's oh my god, I need to the casting director. I can't believe I forgot her name. Sally.
Oh, I don't remember.
Oh my god. I'll look it up in a second because we're gonna be talking about her a lot throughout this series. But her casting is just like phenomenal.
Well, it was fun because did you see the tweet a few days ago or like a couple weeks ago or whatever it was? Not
Sarah
too long
Haley
ago.
Finn. That's what it is.
Okay. where it might have been her, it might have been someone else, I'm not sure, but one of the casting directors for Spider-Man was talking about casting Tom Holland and how people think he just like fell out of thin air, and they're like, no, we tested like thousands of people and he got it. Like, it's not this just like miracle out of the sky. Like, we put in the work to do this, and they put in the work to get casted. Like, it's not, well, I mean, I'm not even going to get into Nepo babies, but it's like, for the most part, you put in a lot of work to do that.
Absolutely.
So, I don't know. I thought that was really cool, and I think that's a really cool statement, especially because nowadays people are still trying to be like, he's a bad Spider-Man, and that's bad casting, and that's just crazy to me. But especially now, it's like, well, at the end of the day, even if you don't like him, you can't say that he didn't put in the work. And I bet that's a similar story to a lot of these people. Because, I mean, now you know them. And then some of them, and it's like Samuel L. Jackson, you're like, okay, yeah. But some of them, it's like RDJ. It's like, that could have been the end of his career, but then he's Iron Man, so look where he is now. So there's a lot of cool stories like that.
Something, I don't know anything about this, but I think lately I've been thinking a lot about, like, actors who, like, take similar characters. And, like, I'm going to throw out a hypothetical. What do you think the timeline is like where Tom Cruise was cast as Iron Man?
Ooh, okay, because honestly, that would have made sense at the time because of all the Mission Impossible stuff and his other movies too. It's a lot of you can see the charm there that I feel like we recently watched Few Good Men, and I feel like you can kind of see a little bit of that
he has, like,
from
the
that.
smart alecky.
And he's like, I'm the smartest one in the room, but then sometimes you do mess up, or sometimes you have a plan that you didn't tell anybody and it works, or whatever. That's very like RDJ's Iron Man for sure. I don't know. I don't think it would have been a bad casting, but it's hard because RDJ is one of those that's like, I never would even want to think about anybody else being in the role. Sure. And I know people were talking about Tom Cruise potentially being like, what was it, like Superior Iron Man?
I actually completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
So he was in the running for the original role. That's crazy.
Yeah. So,
man, that had to be in the back of my brain somewhere.
Yeah. That's probably why you asked, is like subconsciously it was there. But I don't know. I wouldn't have hated it.
Do you think it would have been as successful, like a character in franchise?
I mean, it's hard to say no because like it's Tom Cruise, especially seeing where he is now. I don't think it would have been bad. I think it would have been successful, just kind of in a different way.
Interesting.
I don't know.
I will say, I think with Tom Cruise, if Tom Cruise were cast into it, I feel like he'd almost try to do what he eventually does with the Mission Impossible, where he gets like he like takes over like the savior of movies kind of thing. Yeah. Like I feel like there would have been, and I don't know when he started getting into that, so I don't know if Iron Man 1 or 2 would necessarily be on that slate, but Iron Man 3 would definitely, I think, get the treatment where it's like, okay, so we're gonna make this a phenomenal movie. And they also jump out of an airplane in that movie, so that feels very Tom Cruise as well.
I feel like I will say I feel like I love RDJ's Iron Man. Absolutely. And I feel like Tom Cruise could act like that persona. We've seen him do that. But I think it still would have been too Tom Cruise. Sure. And like, you think of Iron Man, you think of RDJ, so it's not necessarily different, but I don't know. It's just, they're just so one and the same, and Tom Cruise can do and has done so many other things. Like, I wonder what that would have meant for Mission Impossible. I wonder what that would have meant for, I think Edge of Tomorrow came out kind of late 2010s, 2017 maybe, something. That might be too late. I don't know. And Top Gun Maverick, like, I wonder what that would have meant for that. Like, I feel like he started getting into that savior of movie things when he started working with Christopher McQuarrie, the director of the last few films.
Of Mission Impossible.
Yes. Well, also, I think he directed Top Gun Maverick as well, I want to say. I think so. I think I saw that.
I see some vision there.
Yeah. So they've definitely found their pairing. And, that's been happening a lot lately with directors. And but anyways, so I don't know. I'm glad it worked out the way it did because I love Mission Impossible and I love Iron Man, so
Yeah.
it worked out.
I
I wouldn't mind if like Secret Wars they wanted to bring him on as like another person. That would be kind of fun. I mean, just like a cameo kind of thing, like John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic. I was like, at the time I wasn't in love with the casting as like a permanent thing, but it was fun to see him in like one movie and get spaghettified, and then that's the end of that. So sometimes it's just a little cameo. So
So overall, I want to talk maybe now about RDJ's performance as Tony Stark in the movie.
yeah.
How do you like? What are some highlights that you have of like Tony in his first movie, in like borderline the first movie?
Yeah.
In this conversation.
Well, obviously, I love the I Am Iron Man. I love that he improvises, that he has fun, that they say in the first Avengers movie that he always brings snacks on set. I think that just adds little things to their personality, and I love that he was allowed to have that kind of that freedom because I think it really shaped the character.
Absolutely. I think it brings a really fun element to these movies. And I think early on you can even see like where the fun elements kind of dip away.
Yeah.
And you can feel that in the movie. I
Yeah.
agree with that point.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I really like his hair in that movie. Has like nothing to do with this performance, but I love his hair. It looks so cute. I'm like, okay, you look great. I don't know. I like when he's finally rescued from being captured for so long, and he's like, I just want a cheeseburger. That's so real.
So real.
So real. And then, that came back later. I don't know what my cat sees right now. I need you to eat it if it's a bug. Oh my gosh. Anyways. I really like Happy in that film. Pepper Potts.
Yeah, I think the cast
So-
is really strong. Gwyneth Paltrow, the introduction of Phil Coulson, played by Clark
Yeah.
Gregg, that came on to be a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
But super love that. Ooh, so how do you feel? And also, I want to answer the question really quick before we move too
yeah.
further on. I really love the scene of him have a big stick. This is how America does it, and it's worked pretty good so far. And then like he blows up the mountain range. I love the scene of him like going to save Yinsen.
Yeah.
And I love that scene of you saved my life, don't waste it. I think that's a really good mission statement to give him for not only this movie but for
His
the rest
whole
of his
arc.
run.
Yeah.
I super love that. There's the iconic Tony Stark built this in a cave. Love you, Jeff
With the box of
Bridges.
scraps. Love that. I loved seeing him build his suit the multiple times he did. I mean, that's just such a classic. I love that every time. Every time I see them actually building their suit. Even if it's on, like, a machine. Like, we see that later with Spider-Man. Like, it's just fun. It's like you're customizing it. That's, like, you. I love it. So.
I'm trying to think if there's any other iconic ones. There's the first fight scene, which is really great.
Yeah.
Where he's, like, in... I don't know the country, but he's in the Middle East,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like freeing all those hostages and like fighting the tank, bursting through the wall. Amazing.
Yeah.
And I love the designs for the suits. I think the VFX on this movie are actually ahead of its time. I think a lot of people use the phrase "ahead of its time" too loosely for a lot of things.
Yeah, I agree.
Like I remember I recently watched Moulin. Not recently. It was a couple months ago. I watched Moulin Rouge with our friend Katie.
Okay.
And it was like, oh, this is an early 2000s movie. And she said, this is ahead of its time. And I'm like, no, this feels like an early 2000s movie, actually.
And that's okay.
And that's so
like,
valid. It's so valid to be in the right time.
Yeah.
But like, VFX-wise,
That's
this
so
is,
funny.
like, very ahead of its time. This and, like, Pirates of the Caribbean with, like, Davy Jones. Like, these...
Yeah.
Like, there are reasons that people point to those as, like, phenomenal, like, examples of that. And then, there's the talk of, like... the conversation of like VFX getting worse the further we go.
Yeah.
But
even
it's
just
not
cinematography.
it's not I would say, at least in the context of VFX, it's not about like the technology or anything we have. It's just that it's become such a pipeline and like the timetable that you have to make these movies, they needed to get this first movie right. So
Yeah.
they were gonna work on this movie in the VFX until it looked as good as it needed to be because they were
Yep.
relying so heavy on it.
Yep. Yeah,
And
nowadays they're rushed.
Yeah,
They're
and-
having to fight to have time to do their work properly. So
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I would like to think that lately we've had the pauses and the restructures
Yeah.
to accommodate for that.
Mm-hmm.
I can just truly hope that's the case.
Mm-hmm. We'll see in a few years.
We should.
So
Honestly, I think we'll see with
maybe next
Fantastic
year.
Four.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, but we'll see. We'll see. I think
We'll see.
Doomsday is going to be. I think Fantastic Four is going to be a first and then Doomsday is going to be the real. Okay, now we see.
Yeah, I agree.
I also wanted to ask real quick about the villain of that movie, Obadiah Stane, played by Jeff Bridges. How do you kind of remember that character?
Gosh, I keep thinking of like the one with the bird. Right, I remember him.
He built us in a cave.
Yeah. He was okay. He had the look of like a villain. I thought that was cool. He still does. I'm like looking up various pictures of him.
It's
He just
really
looks like he
funny
could channel,
because I
like-
think the only other movie that I connect him to as an actor is The Big Lebowski.
Okay.
Where he plays such a chill dude, I'm gonna go bowling.
Dude, whatever. Whatever.
It's just wildly different that these are the two roles that I have of him in my head.
Yeah.
And I think he does fine.
Yeah. I think it's good enough for a solo movie or like a introductory movie that's supposed to focus on Tony Stark more than anything. So
The performance gives almost like a Bond villain-esque or some of those early Mission Impossible villains.
yeah.
You know what? It gives 2000s villain.
Yeah.
And you know what? That was the assignment. So Jeff Bridges, take your flowers.
Yeah. Good job.
He did.
So.
I did. Oh, his technology, the stunning technology with the sound thing.
Yeah.
That was chilling.
Yeah.
I really like the scene where he comes in, and the terrorists, or the terrorist organization he's working with, are pointing the guns at all of the men. He goes in, then he walks out. That's also where Scorpion is actually.
Oh, okay. Same place.
Yes, he's the leader of that, I believe, because that's where he has the scorpion tattoo. I want to say.
We'll see if he ever
Take
comes
that with
into
a
play.
grain of salt. There's a gazillion rumors about all of the characters that were hinted at being in Spider-Man 4, but
Yeah.
but then he walks back out and all of his men have the terrorists on their knees, and he's like, okay, let's wrap this up, gang, and then he leaves us to the sound of firing. Oh, some aura there for
Yeah.
sure, some bad aura, but
Scary.
the proof that Tony Stark has a heart, amazing symbol there, and I like that they kept that motif throughout the franchise. How do you feel about Terrence Howard as Colonel James Rhodes in that first one?
Right. I mean, he was barely in it. I'm so happy with the recast because I think he does much better. But he's also been given a lot more to, do. I don't know. I feel like he served his purpose, but they still feel like two completely different characters to me. So I forget that it was a recast technically. So
I will say, I think it's interesting to look between.
I thought that was the second
two.
one.
In the first, he's in the first one.
I'm thinking of him during the trial.
That's the first time that. Wait for it.
Oh, is that
Don
the
Cheadle
first-
takes over.
Oh, right, because then he gets the suit, and then, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, and in the
Yeah.
first one, there's that iconic next time.
Oh,
And it's like,
is
okay,
there?
sure.
Anyways.
We also had Paul Bettany debut as Jarvis.
Yeah.
An amazing addition.
What luck to cast someone like that and then be able to use them as the actual person later.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very fun.
Love that idea.
Such an iconic voice. Very, very great.
Yeah, and then we had Happy Hogan played by the director, Jon Favreau.
Mm-hmm.
Which is crazy.
He's been doing a lot. Now he's over at Star Wars a little bit, so.
Yeah, doing the Mandalorian and Grogu movie.
Yeah.
Looking at Jon Favreau's lineup,
Mm-hmm.
like, what an insane and diverse lineup he has. He has
Yeah.
Iron Man 1 and 2, Zathura, Elf, Cowboys and Aliens, The Jungle Book, The Lion King, and The Mandalorian and Grogu movie. He's
That's-
all over the
To
place.
do the live action Jungle Book following with the Lion King, ugh,
That is crazy.
that's crazy. I have to wonder what happened there and whose fault, because you have like the best, arguably the best live action and arguably one of the worst live actions back to back.
That's crazy.
That, whatever, that's crazy.
And then the last thing I want to mention on Iron Man is that it also gave us the first post-credit scene, which, you know, following that point became a Marvel staple,
Yeah.
which has become almost
Now-
like a trend that movies just kind of use. And
Yeah.
you never know which ones will and won't.
Now almost everyone stays for the credits, and I think that's fun.
Yeah.
Or they at least stay long enough to Google, is there a post-credit scene? Which we do all the time, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
and
think that's fun.
and the first one does introduce the idea of the Avengers Initiative with
Yeah.
Nick Fury. I remember there was the whole story about him having to be like brought on a car and set, and then they had to like completely like wrap him in something so that they wouldn't see him like getting onto the set.
Gosh, that's what they need to do for Doomsday, because we're getting too many pictures here.
Yeah, it's I don't know.
Or maybe we're not. We just don't know until the time comes. I don't know.
I don't know. It's interesting that scoopers are now so much more into it that you can't almost have it
Surprises.
steers people away from practical effects because then everything's going to be on the internet. So
Yeah.
I think there is a lot of truth in the idea that scoopers are ruining movies.
Yeah, absolutely. And nowadays, it becomes so much like, I feel like now they are feeding us certain things to think that we're getting leaks, just to like try to still hide some stuff, you know? I don't know. Which sucks. They shouldn't have to do that. They should only have to focus on making a movie and, you know, doing the best with that. But
I completely
so
agree.
I'm happy to see that they're still doing, like, for Deadpool and Wolverine, they did a lot of, I don't know about a lot, but some, like, on set, they actually built the set kind of areas, and then they're still doing that for Doomsday. I'm glad they're still doing that, but it does, you know, then wonder, well, inevitably we're going to see spoilers and then, or whatever, behind the scenes stuff, or, you know, I don't know, maybe they're doing that on purpose a little bit. I have to wonder sometimes if they're trying to have a strategy there. But anyways,
Who's to say?
definitely a good argument.
Yeah, okay. So, moving on to our next movie, we have, also in 2008, we have The Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
So this was Edward Norton's run as Bruce Banner. Love interest was Betty Ross, Liv Tyler. Our villain of the movie was General Ross, played by the now deceased William Holt, and Emil Blonsky, played by Tim Roth, who becomes the Abomination. This is also where we get introduced to Samuel Stearns, played by
Yeah.
Tim Blake Nelson, who then eventually becomes the leader. So, an interesting lineup, I think.
Yeah,
Um,
and they've pretty much kept everybody except for Edward Norton.
Except for
So,
Ed.
sorry, dude.
It is interesting because I would say, I think personally, I would say he's the best actor among these people. But truly, I think, I don't know. I think it's a combination in this movie, and this is just my take, that I think he gives, like, I think he has the worst performance. I don't think it's entirely on him.
Okay.
I think it's also just a poorly written role for him in this movie. And I think the writing on this movie in general is just also really
Not
bad.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
interesting. I definitely understand why they recast.
Recast. Went in a different direction.
Yeah.
Like, right.
With Mark Ruffalo. And I see the vision they had with Edward Norton, with him being he's very skinny. And he looks like someone I would imagine doing yoga. But I don't know. I feel like with Mark Ruffalo's character, he's a character I can see like having some like anger underneath with his performance as Bruce Banner.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't get that nearly as much with Edward Norton's at all.
I agree.
So yeah, it's very weird, this movie, and I feel like between like Bruce and Betty, there's also this weird dynamic that like she works at a university, but she needs to be told that if she uses her credit card, the government's gonna track her, and it's like,
Yeah. I hate that trope. They just don't have common sense. Especially when they're, like, supposed to be really smart.
yeah,
You're like, okay, well, you can't have both.
you
So.
cannot.
No.
I do. I know that you have a limited memory of this. What are there any moments that like stand out for you from this movie? Any?
I mean, I always like seeing the Hulk actually be the Hulk. And, like, be angry and roar and be green. Like, I mean, I like the Hulk when he's the Hulk. I've never really cared about Bruce Banner all that much, and I don't care about Smart Hulk or whatever he's called now, but I still remember that. I mean, there's a reason that's the poster, because that's cool. That's what you want to see. So, well,
Yeah.
always that. And I feel like for the time, I liked the leader's design, too. I feel like that would not have... I know people were complaining about his design in Brave New World. I feel like... I don't know. And it definitely wasn't great. Okay. We've already talked about this.
Yes.
But, like... I feel like it also wouldn't have been great to just do what they did in the 2008 movie. I don't know. It's like...
Well, we never see the finished look. We just see his brain start getting big.
Yeah. But...
So, and I would have... I don't know.
Maybe I'm thinking of, like, then fan art or something. I'm, like, picturing his head big.
There was fan art. Or not fan art, but concept art of what they wanted him to look like.
Maybe
that
that's
was released,
it.
And that was for Brave New World.
Oh.
And then they didn't go with it.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's it. But, anyways.
Yeah. So... Interesting. I really remember the action scenes a lot in this movie. There's one where he's on campus and he fights Emil Blonsky for the first time. Then there's the Harlem fight, which I think is also great. Him versus like Beasted Up Abomination.
Oh, okay.
I think it's funny. There's that thing with like Winston Duke and I think it was Anthony Mackie. And I think they might have had one other person there, but they were like being asked to like look at Marvel villains and like rate them or something, and they like showed Abomination. They're like, "This isn't Marvel," and it's like,
oh,
yep.
I mean, it's in the MCU now, like not just Incredible Hulk. He's in other projects now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
and,
two other ones.
He is certainly looking better in the other projects.
Yeah.
I think he looks truly terrifying. He looks a lot like a mutated human in this one, which I can understand the vibe. I also really liked. And it was an interesting idea that in this one they like specifically were putting the gamma into his spine, which is why as a character his spine when he's like hulked out is like so prominent, which I think is interesting. And then in his redesign it's nothing like that at all, and how he has his gills that he always has, which I think look great.
I agree. I love how he looks now. Looks very fun.
Absolutely. I also feel like I also watched the 2003 Hulk movie.
Oh, didn't know that was a thing.
It is, and it is.
It exists?
It is certainly worse than this one.
Okay. Cool.
Love the Hulk 2003 truthers out there. I'm not one of you. I think it takes a really weird look at like the Absorbing Man, because like the villain's his dad, and he just like eats electricity and then becomes a god, and like he becomes water and a thundercloud and a rock monster, and it's like, what is happening here? It's so weird. I think Hulk looks really weird in that movie, and he's like powered by like jellyfish gamma or something, so like every time he shrinks back down he releases water, so he's always in a huge puddle, and it's so weird to me. It's so weird.
I'm trying to look it up. Oh, I think I've seen this.
I will say, like...
Not the movie. I think I've seen, like, pictures.
The editing of the movie feels very, like, straight out of a comic book, which is really interesting and a fun choice, but everything else in the movie is... Not
Weird.
good.
He's so green.
He's very green.
He's too green. This is like how.
This is like what Shrek live action is gonna look like.
Oh, you're laughing, but I fear.
Mhm.
I fear.
Oh
that-
no, I'm speaking truth.
No, yeah.
I also weirdly remember. Then there's also that iconic scene of like, Bruce Banner in the like hotel mirror, and he like wipes the steam off the shower, and it's Hulk, and he's like his hand is like Hulk's finger.
Wait, I think I've seen that. Mm-hmm.
That one's an iconic shot as well. Sometimes they cook in this movie, and everything else is just very forgettable.
Yeah. They try. They play with things.
They certainly try. They do a couple jokes of Bruce Banner hiding in a Spanish speaking country. I can't remember which one, but he's like, "You won't like me when I'm hungry," because he doesn't know the language. I guess the super genius didn't learn the catchphrase to warn people not to turn him into a monster. Right.
Right. Right.
Also, ironically, I think he's the only villain. This is the only movie where the hero doesn't like think that they killed the villain, which is fun. That the Hulk is the one who didn't kill the giant rage monster in Harlem.
Yeah.
So,
anyways.
yeah. So I maybe want to talk a little here about the redesign.
Okay.
Specifically between how the Hulk looks throughout these other movies. Even I would say just between the Incredible Hulk and the Avengers here. To me, I think there's a clear evolution, like a drastic evolution. I think there's a weird thing about his skin in the first one, in the Incredible Hulk, where like it looks like weirdly folded, like especially around his chest.
Yeah.
It looks a little weird to me, like the texture of the skin. And then you go into the Avengers, and like the skin looks really smooth. It looks unblemished, but like still like the coloring makes it look beastly.
Yeah.
And like the way they have like the scruff on him still, and I don't know, the design there looks really good. And then going into Avengers Age of Ultron, where it's even more like infused with Mark Ruffalo's face and his performance, I really like. I think Age of Ultron is probably my favorite design for Hulk.
Yeah.
But closely followed by Avengers. I think those two are very connected.
It does. I'm
And
looking at all
then-
the differences.
And then I think he's fine in Ragnarok. I think he's a lot lighter green in that one. But I still think it's good. I would rank that. Let me just give it my ranking here. But I'd rank that one like underneath both the Avengers movies.
He's a lot more gray green
In which one?
in Ragnarok. It's not necessarily all that much lighter, but it's way like muted in color. It's still green, but it looks like it looks like a gray green. That's what it looks like. If you were far away, you might mistake it for gray.
Interesting.
So,
And then
but I love his like little fighter outfit in that movie.
yeah, absolutely.
It's really fun.
Then there's also the final Professor Hulk, and I don't know. He looks great. I think just as a
Yeah.
concept, it's
just boring.
well,
it's just
and
not.
that's a thing that I think people also need to remember, that the difference between like comic book stories where these characters originate from is that, like, for instance, Rogue and Gambit. There's that amazing like will they won't they relationship that was like super iconic in the comics. Whenever it is put into animation, it really works for a lot of people because she has that thing where if they kiss, he'll die.
Yeah.
And then in the comics, at some point, she's able to control her ability and can control when she takes people's powers. And then they are able to be together. And then it's a very boring story. So
Yeah.
it's really almost unfortunate to have these characters where it's like, is there a way to conclude their huge arc where it's like, obviously you want your character to like not be the same in each movie, or well, I'm sure some people do, but you know, personally, I don't want my character to be doing the same thing in every movie.
Yeah.
I will say, I think the biggest thing with Mark Ruffalo's Hulk is that a lot of the stuff happens off screen for him, unfortunately, because they weren't able to make Hulk movies.
Yeah.
And I really wish that they were able to, like, maybe backslide that a little bit. I was really hoping that She-Hulk was going to do maybe something to open up the circle of the world of Hulks more than it did, and it certainly did not.
No.
But, I don't know. I feel like where we ended up would be fine if we saw the journey.
Yeah. I agree. It's unfortunate. It's like all the rights mess with Spider-Man, with Kingpin, with Daredevil, like, it sucks because it ruins the story. It's like you want to see, because apparently, people complain that in the MCU Spider-Man movies, they don't like how he can't just be by himself, but apparently that's one of the things that, in order to, like, have it also be MCU or, like, attached to the Marvel name specifically, not just Sony, is that they need a Marvel, like a character from the Marvel universe in his story. So, which I don't mind either way, but that does suck that if that's true, that they require that. Just things like that. It's really annoying and it ruins the story. And Universal still owns Hulk, whatever it is?
I think they lost
the
the
movie
license.
rights.
I think that I recently remember that there was a point in the past couple years where they got the movie rights back, but for some reason there's something preventing them from doing it.
Okay. That's just so annoying because it's like, I don't see you doing a movie either. Same with Sony. It's like, oh, well, we're going to gatekeep all the Spider-Man stuff, except only make movies about the villains or the side characters and not make them well. And so they all suck. But anyways.
Yeah, that is a very discoursed thing.
Yeah.
So, let's see. Abomination, he had 2 designs that we saw. The original, which I don't hate the original, but I love the master where he actually looks like ripped straight out of the comics.
Yeah.
Love that so much. I wish, like Professor Hulk, he was still a Hulk.
Yeah.
I particularly really hate hearing his British voice from the monster's mouth. It's like, man, this would be funny if this wasn't supposed to be like the Hulk villain. So I hate that, actually, but I love his design so much.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Love-hate relationship.
Indeed. And then with the leader, we just kind of see him start becoming the leader in the end of Incredible Hulk. We eventually see him in Brave New World, but we see the head get bigger is the thing, and then in Brave New World it's almost like deflated in.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. I continue to love the concept art of like the leader hiding among like a crowd of people with like an Uncle Sam hat hiding his giant head. I think that's ingenious.
Yeah.
I really think they were onto something with the big head, and like his brain is bigger. That's the whole point.
Yeah. Because, I mean, yeah, he looks disturbing in Brave New World, but yeah, there's got to be the big head. You just have
If
to
you're gonna
figure
use
out
the
a way.
character, then use the character.
Yeah, you have to figure out a way to do it, or just don't use the character.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I also thought it was interesting that the director of this movie, Louis Leterrier, did Clash of the Titans, Now You See Me, and Fast X. I actually feel like I see some of Fast X here.
Yeah, I do.
Which is crazy. I haven't seen the other 2. But
I didn't realize there was a Clash of the Titans movie.
yeah.
Is that not a game? Am I crazy? No, that's Clash of Clans.
Yes.
That's something
that
different.
Is a different thing.
Oh my god.
Oh god, don't put that in the universe.
Hey, I was like, I didn't know that was a movie. I just thought that was a game. So wildly different. I'm so sorry.
Indeed.
So sorry.
Any other thoughts on the Incredible Hulk before we move on?
Nope.
Right. Okay, moving on to 2010. So 2 years later, we get Iron Man 2, the first sequel.
So they're really going all in on the Iron Man.
They are.
Right.
I mean, to be fair, the first one was very successful.
Yeah.
And here they start expanding the universe a lot. We see a lot more Nick Fury here. They introduce us to Black Widow, and I think a really great way.
She's so, like, she just walks in and has that aura of like, I could kick your ass right now, like, and she does. So.
So how do you feel about Tony Stark's arc in this movie? So this movie for me, I think, is really crowded.
Yeah.
I think there's like three or like 4 plot lines in this movie that, and like in this movie has room for like 2.
Yeah, I feel like I didn't really like the like, what was it, Russian guy with
Whiplash.
Yeah.
I
I don't know. They didn't really develop him enough to like make me care about him. His design was fine. Like the little whip things were, threatening and kind of cool, but like
I like the way they cut through things.
yeah, as far as the villain, I liked the other guy better.
Justin Hammer.
Yeah.
Rockwell. Woo-woo.
Yeah, I thought he did great. I thought his voice just gave like asshole, and that worked for this movie. And I wish that they let him be by himself because I don't think he needed Whiplash all that much.
I don't know.
I mean, I see what they were trying to do, but like, then you need to develop Whiplash a little bit more.
I completely agree.
Or just don't use that. Just like bring in someone smart who knows how to build suits. That's not Whiplash. Like, I don't know.
I really wish Whiplash worked for me in this movie, but he's so not important to this movie for so much of it.
Yep.
And there's just so much more going on that is vastly more interesting. Like with more Nick Fury, with introducing the Black Widow, with War Machine. And like those alone I think are much more interesting things than Whiplash's character.
Yeah.
I like his attack. I like both of his fight scenes.
Oh, I love when they're at the racing area or whatever you call it. I don't know what you call it. Right. Racetrack. Well, like, like this. I don't know.
Oh, and
anyways.
then you have the suitcase.
Yes.
Suit up.
Oh, that's one of my
Amazing.
favorites. That one and the one where he pushes the button on the plane to do it.
That was also really
that
great.
one's awesome. But then I also love Pepper in that scene. She's so funny. She's freaking out. She's like, oh my God. Like,
this
the
is why we
whole
never go on
time.
vacation.
Yeah.
I love it.
She's like, I want to raise.
Get in the car!
I want to raise right now. Get in the car. I'm not on my cycle, Pepper.
Their
Whatever he
dynamic's
says.
amazing.
Oh, it's great.
I also love the way they introduced Black Widow here as an undercover agent.
Yeah.
But there's clearly more to her. I like that Tony Stark tracks immediately like, oh, there's something more. Let's see everything about this woman. It's like, oh, there's a lot here. She knows a lot of languages.
Yeah.
And then she does that move on Happy. Iconic.
Very fun. I love that whole scene.
Absolutely. Pepper Potts in this movie. She takes over the company, which they keep, and she continues to be the CEO of Stark Industries going forward, which love that for her.
I also like Black Widow's main fight scene later on when she
Yes,
suits up and
that
does
was
the hallway
amazing.
stuff. Oh my God, that's so awesome.
Black Widow in a hallway fight. Yes.
Right? They needed to do that more often.
Absolutely.
Oh well.
Then Phil Coulson's here again.
I also love her hair in this movie. Anyways, I could talk about all day long.
And the recast, Don Cheadle. I know we talked about liking him a lot more.
Yeah.
I
mean, he's never been like a huge standout character to me. I think part of that is just because they haven't bothered to focus on him all that much.
Sure.
I like him the most in this movie when he has the most to do.
I don't know. I also like him in Iron Man. Like he's always, when he's given a line, he always stands out in the ensemble.
Yeah.
Like Don Cheadle knows how to deliver these lines really well.
Yes. Yeah.
And he does a lot here with his performance. I truly wish that his plot line was like, there's so many plot lines here that like feels like even the ones that like are given like the spotlight, like this is definitely one of the bigger ones.
Yeah.
But like I still wish there was more to it.
Yeah,
I love the
I
redesign.
agree.
I like him taking the suit. I guess then there's that fight scene between them the two at the party.
Oh, I
and then
love
he takes
that
it
whole
off for
scene.
the upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
Very fun.
Yeah. Their dynamic is really fascinating as well.
Their dynamic's amazing. I like their dynamic a lot more than like the original, than like Iron Man 1's dynamic between
Yeah.
the two characters.
Mm-hmm.
Because in 2 and going forward, Rhodey's able to like stand up to Tony and isn't a pushover.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, he's a colonel in the military. He's not gonna. I don't know. I like.
I like it. I think
like it a
I
lot.
totally agree. I like the choices that are made in this film much better. So I feel like they figured out. I don't like that we did that with Rhodey. Let's do this. Let's try this, and then it worked.
Yeah.
I think maybe.
Absolutely.
I don't know. Or
super
maybe
like
just
it.
the actors kind of fell into what they wanted to do, and this one just worked better. I don't know.
Yeah, probably a mix of all.
Yeah.
And then there's also the plot line of Tony Stark dying and dealing with his father who founded S.H.I.E.L.D., he learns.
Yeah.
So then he's dying from the stuff in his chest,
Mm-hmm.
which is very forgettable.
Sucks, because that would have been nice.
Yeah, it's also the closest we get to one of his iconic storylines, which is him dealing with his alcoholism,
Mm-hmm.
which is a huge thing for Tony throughout the comics.
Yeah.
I feel like they replace that with being like, oh, but he's gonna die, which is why he's doing all this, instead of him just like having his self-destructive behaviors.
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels a little bit like a cop out for like the modern audiences can't handle this. It's like, well, I guess we'll never know now.
Yeah. Oh well.
I don't know. There's a lot of here that could work if it was given the room to like breathe. But this movie's so crowded that it doesn't. That like nothing does.
Nothing gets to breathe.
The characters
in this
look
movie.
great, and they eat with their deliveries.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, and the fight scenes are cool. The fight scenes are cool.
Yeah.
So as an action movie, it works. As a movie in general, it's there.
I will say, and this is my hot take. I understand this is a hot take, but I still like this movie better than 3. I personally do not like 3. I'm so sorry.
I think that's fair. I
don't know.
like 3 more.
I just don't like the villain. I don't like what happens to Pepper. I just hate what's going on right now. So, I don't know. In 3, because she temporarily
very
becomes
weird for you to say
glowing.
that right. You confused me by saying right now because that was in like over a decade ago.
Oh, my bad. No. What happened in 3 to Pepper?
I don't know. I understand why people don't like 3 more. I personally like 3 more because almost exactly like what we're talking about here. What they do, even though it doesn't work for some people, at least they picked something and stuck with it.
At least they have room to breathe. That's fair. But I like how everyone can kind of admit that, hey, at least the first one's the best one.
Yeah.
At least we can agree on that,
But I don't know. There's just a lot of weakness here. This is one of my least favorite in the overarching. I would say so is Incredible Hulk. I feel like that needs to be put out there as well. But
Oh, yeah. And I should also clarify that 2 is not my favorite either. I just like it better. I dislike it. I dislike 3 more than I dislike this one. Let's put it that way.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else to be said on Iron Man 2?
No, it is also directed by Jon Favreau.
It was.
So.
Ooh, also another note I want to say is I like that he gets denied from joining the Avengers and he's on as a consultant.
Yeah.
I think that was a really fun decision to show that, like, hey, you got problems.
Yeah.
We see you're powerful and we'd like your help. But we can't trust you. I think it's very real for them to say that. And then they go back on it when they need to. But that's hey, that's the Avengers Initiative for you. There was an idea.
That's funny.
So I think it's a really fun note to end on, actually.
Yeah.
Then we go to 2011 with Thor, the first Thor movie.
Yay. My favorite character. Yeah, I'm kind of a Thor hater. I'm sorry, guys. I still like Ragnarok. Listen, and I think he's I think for whatever reason I like him when he has short hair. It just worked out that way. I like him in Ragnarok and I like him in Infinity War and that's all that.
No, I
Although I don't think this movie's horrible by any means,
I don't
but
know. I like this one a lot. A lot. I like this one. I solidly like this one.
You were like, you know what? It's solid. It's solid.
This one's really solid for me. I really like the world building. I really like the contrast between how big, beautiful, and grand Asgard is compared to the small town in New Mexico where he lands.
Yeah.
And I think they do a lot of fun stuff with the contrast there.
Oh, talk about another perfect casting. Tom Hiddleston as Loki.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Can you? Okay, I'm gonna go through the multiverse again. What do you think the timeline is where he was cast as Thor?
Oh, because he did audition.
He did audition for
Thor. Oh my gosh. Not good. I just can't. I'm so sorry. And that's fine. Not everyone can, be perfect in every role ever. No one can. So you were just made for Loki. It's there's another movie where this happens too. I think it was I'm thinking Harry Potter, but it's definitely another one. I think also, since we watched The Summer I Turned Pretty, I'm pretty sure both of them auditioned for the other role.
Okay.
And then Harry Potter, I feel like something similar happened. There's a movie I'm forgetting. Maybe I'll remember it. But there's a movie or show where they're yeah, I auditioned for this person. I auditioned for this person. Oh, it's The Vampire Diaries. That's what I'm thinking of. All of them auditioned for everything else, and then they got there, and they're perfect. And I think the guy who played, I don't know, you don't know the show, right?
Not
at all.
Well, no.
Okay. Well, there's this guy who's he plays a really annoying character, but he auditioned for one of the main love interests, and I'm oh my god, we dodged a bullet. So sorry to that actor, but I can't look at your face without being annoyed because of how well you played that character. So props to you, because that's what you...
Yeah.
So, anyways.
Any standout moments in this movie for you? Good or bad? I think I want to press for these movies.
Yeah, and I feel I also agree with you where even though Thor's not my favorite, I feel just objectively as a movie, I like this movie. I think it's solid. I think, it's, especially for phase 1 when they're still kind of figuring out what they want to do with these characters in the world, I think in hindsight it's pretty good. So it's one of the better Thor movies for sure.
Mm-hmm. I also like how drastically different it feels from the Iron Man movies and the Incredible Hulk.
It's just so different.
I really like when the MCU gets the different vibes from the different movies. I think and then the Avengers movies, a combination of all of these vibes into one thing. Mm-hmm. And I think that's when the MCU works really well.
Yeah.
As a connected cinematic universe.
Yeah.
But having the different unique styles, I think, really works here. And I think these first 2 Thor movies really try and focus on a Viking and almost Shakespearean look at Thor and what Asgard looks like. And I think it works the most here as compared to the second one. I think everyone will agree to that one. Mm-hmm. But it really works.
And I like the casting of Jane and her father, Darcy. Not her father. Oh yeah,
Professor.
yeah. Well, he seems like her father all the time, so I get confused. He just seems like a fatherly figure. Oh my gosh, those were my hair ties.
Cool,
my
cool,
cat
cool.
likes to play with my hair ties.
Some amazing casting here. We had Chris Hemsworth as Thor.
Mm-hmm. I feel usually for Thor, I don't like how dumb he feels sometimes. But it works for me in this movie because he is a fish out of water.
Yes.
A lot of people say similar things about Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, how they were man, she's a horrible actress, but how did it work in Wonder Woman? And it's because she's a fish out of water. And so the dumbness worked.
Yeah.
So, although I'll give it to Chris Hemsworth, he can play other things.
Yes.
He's a good actor. Okay, that's not his fault. It's just how he plays Thor and how Thor's written, and then he plays other characters really well. So that's not on him.
And then there's Loki. Iconic, amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a reason that people see
Show
him as the
stopping,
standout.
never been done before, never the same.
And I think up until this point, I might be corrected, but I don't think they'd played with him being a Frost like adopted before.
Oh, okay.
I think that was something original to this movie.
I really like that choice because it totally makes sense why his motivations are the way they are.
Actually, I'm gonna type that into Google.
And also just from a visual standpoint, to have like the golden child be like blonde and like wear sort of like the red, like the hero colors, and then to have the kind of not forgotten child, but like definitely not the favorite child, at least to Odin. It's like, I don't know, visually it's fascinating when they separate it like that. I think it really works here. What are you looking up again?
I'm looking to see when he was introduced as a Frost Giant in the comics, because I don't know. I want to say there was a change at least at some point. I don't know when they did it, but I mean, obviously at some point the comics switched over, but definitely whenever he was introduced in like the 90s, somewhere in the 1900s as a character, he definitely wasn't a Frost Giant.
Yeah.
In
Oh my gosh.
disguise or whatever.
She found another hair tie. Mm-hmm. You're gonna have really so much fun cleaning that up. Anyways, whoever decided to cast Anthony Hopkins as Odin, you deserve a raise. I love you so much. I love Anthony Hopkins.
How do you feel about Odin as a character?
I mean, I feel like he serves his purpose. I feel like I maybe wanted to know more sorry about him and just like why he is the way he is. I mean, he's definitely like an asshole father, like for sure.
Sure.
You're not supposed to like him, but I do think at the end of the day he tries, and so therefore I feel like there's an interesting backstory there. Because, you know, I don't think he's a good dad, but like with the hammer, you know, whoever shall be worthy shall lift the hammer, whatever. Or shall have the power of Thor. That's what he says. You know, he's trying to teach his son a lesson, even though he is like the favorite child. It's not like there is a line, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that he's not just gonna like change his morals if his son does something bad. If his son does something bad, he's punishing him, and you know, I think that's interesting. There's something there. I wish it was explored more. I also really like the dynamic between what's their mom's name?
Frigga.
Yeah, I like the dynamic between the two parents. They're so different, but I can also see how they're partners and how they can work. So, I can see that.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting.
How do you feel about Natalie Portman in this movie? I know we've talked about her a little bit recently.
Yeah. I mean, I think she's also good in this movie. I appreciate that she actually is smart after she's written to be smart. I appreciate that.
I like that there's a difference between her being smart and her being awkward.
Yeah.
Because there is a clear difference between those two things.
Yes.
And this movie, I think, highlights that well with Jane Foster.
Well, and her dynamic with Thor, I think, is very interesting. I've always really liked their relationship.
I also love the bit that she keeps running him over.
Yeah. It's okay. What can you do? You just have to run over your godly boyfriend sometimes. Yeah. Like.
Yeah, and then this is the first movie I've ever seen a Skarsgård in.
Yeah.
With Eric Selvig.
Hi.
Hi there. Also, my introduction to Kat Dennings with Darcy.
Ugh, I love her. I love
She's
her.
So funny.
I want to watch Two Broke Girls someday just because of her.
Sure, absolutely. We see some more Phil Coulson here for a little bit. He kind of takes over. He runs an almost Nick Fury role here. It's very interesting. I like seeing him kind of step up. We see a lot more of him here, kind of how he's portrayed in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show, which is very fun. We see Laufey, the king of the Frost Giants. I love the design of the Frost Giants. I also love the design of like the monster, like the giant lizard monster that kind of chases them. Such cool stuff there.
Yeah.
I really like
Heimdall,
Idris Elba casting.
Also another wonderful casting choice.
A great casting on someone who became such a bigger deal. Sif. It is such a crime that they never found more to do with her. It is crazy.
Yeah.
Because I want to see more. And then when she like has that cameo in Loki season 1, love the way she delivers her lines.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. You are alone, and you always will be.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh, she's great.
She's so great. We have the Warriors 3 with Volstagg, Hogun, and Fandral. Volstagg played by the late Ray Stevenson, who is from Ahsoka. Never knew that.
Oh, yeah.
Crazy connection there.
I'm putting that together now, yeah.
And then Fandral, only in the first one, is played by Josh Dallas, who plays Prince Charming in Once Upon a Time. Crazy that, like, eventually rewatching this movie after watching Once Upon a Time for the first time and being like, what?
Prince Charming?
And then eventually he
Charming.
gets recast, I want to say, for Shazam. I forget his actor's name.
Yes. Zachary Levi?
Zachary Levi, yeah.
Yeah.
And, yeah, that's something.
Anyways.
That is a decision of its time.
Yeah.
And then we also see Hawkeye for the first time.
Yeah.
In such, it
he's
can't even be
awesome.
called a cameo.
No.
But it's very fun to be like, we need you to stop the target. And he's like, you need a good shot. And he like goes for the gun. And it's like, nope. And then he grabs the bow. Oh, such a cool shot. So cool. Moments that are great from this movie that I remember. I love the scene of his being banished and then throwing the hammer down.
Yeah.
I love all of the stuff about the people going down there to try to move the hammer. I think that's super fun. The cameo from Stan Lee.
Yeah.
I love the scene where Loki visits Thor when he gets arrested. I think the whole sequence of Thor trying to get the hammer back is really good until he just like screams into the sky. I don't know. That one feels a little like, okay.
Okay. Calm down.
Put the hammer down.
Go ahead and put the hammer down.
And I like that Loki tries to grab it as well. I think the relationship between Thor and Jane really works for me. I really like whenever the Destroyer shows up.
Interesting.
That's very fun. You don't like the Destroyer?
No.
What about it?
That's the one where it shoots fire from its face?
Yes.
And that was kind of boring. I was like, okay. As far as like a villain. I'm like,
Well, it isn't,
okay.
it's controlled by Loki.
Well, yeah, but
It's essentially
it's
a
like,
gun.
I want to see Loki, not some like robot I have no attachment to. I don't even think the design's all that cool.
Well, that's the Destroyer.
It's okay.
That's the unkillable armor.
I guess.
I know in the comics there's some points where like Tony makes a suit of armor out of the metal.
Oh,
So,
okay.
I don't know. The Destroyer is a very iconic Asgardian weapon.
Okay.
And like you see it in essentially like it's in Marvel Rivals in the background of one of the the spawn rooms.
Okay.
It's in like Lego games. It's almost a staple of Asgard. It's like the Tesseract where it's like, oh, we're in Asgard. We can acknowledge that somewhere there's the
a
Destroyer. In one of the animated shows, Ultron uploads himself into it. So there's
Right.
I don't know. It's a fun little piece that you just kind of see whenever Asgard is in the picture.
Okay.
So and in that case, I think it's fun to kind of get it out of the way. It's a one and done, which I think is fine. Ultimately, it's just a weapon that Loki uses, and then they have the big shebang in Asgard. I think the Warriors 3 are kind of forgettable. I like them in action, but then when it's like, oh, remember that they're actual characters, it's like, you could have just had Sif.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree.
I
was looking at the director, and that's fascinating to me.
Yeah, Kenneth Branagh, who plays Hercule Poirot and directs those movies.
Poirot. Yeah.
Very crazy. He did early Frankenstein in the 90s. He did Hamlet, As You Like It, a lot of Shakespeare. Which I think you can see here.
Yeah, absolutely.
He directed the 2018 Cinderella.
18? I thought it was 15.
Oh,
Anyways,
it might be.
that
No,
does
you're right.
not-
It's 2015. But he directed
Yeah.
the live-action Disney Cinderella movie.
Oh my god.
He did Murder on the Orient.
I love that.
Artemis Fowl, Belfast, Death on the Nile, and A Haunting in Venice.
That's fascinating.
I really like the Murder on the Orient and I think Death on the Nile is fine. I like it a little more than most people do, just because I love murder mystery and I love Hercule Poirot actually.
Yeah.
But Haunting in Venice I really liked.
Yeah.
And Cinderella was great.
I feel like you could definitely see the Shakespeare in here, though.
Yes.
Which makes sense, because I think, out of these, that's what he did before this came
Yes,
out.
absolutely.
So I can see that pipeline for sure.
I also remember seeing, like, someone pointed out that that, like, there's a lot of Dutch tilts, which is, like, the camera's just diagonal for no reason. There's, I don't know, have I ever showed you any pitch meeting YouTube videos?
I feel like that seems familiar.
It's this, like, comedy bit
Guys,
where this
keep
guy's
it.
like jokingly pitching like movies to like an executive, and it's like, oh, by the way, one of our like camera stands has like a broken leg, so like the shot's really tilted. Should we replace that? It's like, nah, it's fine.
Never mind. I don't think I have then.
I should show you some. They're pretty funny.
Okay.
But once that gets pointed out, it's hard to not see it throughout this movie.
Yeah.
But it's really fun. I really like this one. I like this one. I keep doing that.
It's solid.
It is a very solid movie. Like this and the first Iron Man are like the legs that continue to grow this franchise.
Okay. Interesting. I would say for me, it's always been Iron Man and Captain America. That's always been the legs for me.
That's the thing. Captain America the first one did not perform well.
Oh, no, it did not. I just feel like at the heart of it,
Sure.
I can see the two.
I don't know.
But,
It really picks up with the Captain America as a character picks up a lot with Winter Soldier.
Yeah. Kind of interesting how Captain America works the best when he's with a lot of other people.
I don't know.
It's kind of fascinating to me.
Then that does take us over to Captain America: The First Avenger
Yeah.
in 2011, also 2011. So what's some standout moments here for you?
Oh my gosh, I have been through so many phases where like I'm like Captain America's my favorite. Like from when I started watching Marvel, I've gone through so many like Captain America's my favorite, Iron Man's my favorite, Black Widow, Captain America. I feel like I always kind of come back to Captain America though, and certain times, because I just adore the moment where he like hops on the grenade thinking it's real. That's his entire character right there. That one scene. If it's like who's Captain America, that's who he is. Anyways, so true. Yeah, but that's just his character, and there's so many phenomenal casting choices here. I mean, Haley Atwell, Sebastian Stan, the guy who plays the doctor, Stanley Tucci.
Oh my
Tommy
Lee Jones.
Yeah, I mean that's just that's awesome.
Hugo Weaving, also a good game for them.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I can see why this didn't perform super well. Because, I mean, even I can admit, as much as I love moments from this movie, I feel like overall, it can be a little boring sometimes.
I don't know.
A little bit. I don't know. I like it, though.
I like this one.
It's kind of like how I feel about Thor. But maybe I like this one a little bit better. So, I also love the Red Skull. Like, the design is so cool. Love it.
And this one is unique, at least of its time, that it also feels very different because it's a period piece, which is awesome because it still goes so hard.
Yeah. It does.
I think I will always be so bewildered that Chris Evans turned down this role 2 times before accepting it on the 3rd round.
Well, he was scared to do this role. He didn't think he was like worthy of the role.
Yeah, and then
which is
look at
crazy.
him without it now. Which is
Yeah.
crazy.
He really said, "Oh my gosh, I'm riding a high. Let's do Knives Out." And then, where do we go from there? Maybe we're back with Materialist. We'll see. I've heard he's good. I've heard everyone's good in that movie. So
We certainly will.
we shall see.
But I think here he makes a really strong first impression.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the visual effects of him being skinny?
Oh, I mean, I never found I didn't ever think it was wonky. Personally, and I definitely think that was the better choice to flip it that way rather than the other way.
For sure.
Like, for sure. So, I don't know, especially in 2011, like,
Yeah, I think it looks great for 2011.
yeah, me too.
So
I also like how you know, I mean, then that's why he got the serum, is because even when he was skinny and like would lose every fight he was in, he had asthma, like he had all this other stuff that they weren't gonna let him in the army. He can't even defend his friend, like all these things, but he still tries.
Is that why you keep going back to Steve? Because he has asthma?
Maybe I relate. But also, it's fascinating because I usually don't like the high and mighty characters. Sometimes Captain America can get a little bit too into that because he's just so like set in his ways of like, well, here are my morals and we're doing it this way because if it's not that, it's probably bad. But I think it's fun because you see him kind of learn how to work with a team that doesn't exactly have the same morals as him. You know, you see him work with a Russian assassin. You see him work with Iron Man. I mean, that's all you need to say about that. A giant green monster, like all these things. So it's fun watching him navigate that. And you think maybe that's why. Like, I don't really like Professor X because I think he's so, like, full of himself sometimes. So set in his ways. His way is the only way. And I feel like that's really annoying to me. But it works for Captain America for me.
Yeah.
Not so much Professor X. Maybe that's also because Captain America, we see him so often saving civilians. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
What I really like is that, like, his first mission as Captain America is him going against American orders. And I think that's a huge part of his character that I think some people choose to ignore.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's very fascinating.
Bucky Barnes casting. I think he's, you know, an attractive man, and I think he does fine here. I think we are very lucky that he came back for Winter Soldier to become.
Yes.
'Cause I think that's where he truly cements himself as, like, the iconic.
Villain,
character that he became. Even just the iconic actor he became. I don't think he shines a whole lot in this one at all.
I think he's okay. Yeah, he's like okay in this movie. He does what he needs to do, you know. But as far as like, it's hard when you're up against like Tommy Lee Jones and Haley Atwell, like.
Well, but even I feel like this movie doesn't put him in a lot of like the juicy scenes.
No, absolutely not.
Like I would say, like even I think Haley Atwell, who we like don't see again in the movies unless it's a flashback for 5 seconds where she's old. Like we don't like. I think she shines a lot more here than he does. Maybe they knew that.
I agree.
Which is why they put him in here less.
Maybe, but I'm glad he kind of progressed the way he did. So.
I also.
And now he's an Oscar nominee. So.
I also love Tommy Lee Jones in this movie.
He's great.
I think he's so fun. Howard Stark, played by Dominic Cooper, so personable.
Yes.
He's just super fun. You haven't watched it, but I actually really love the. You know, I keep going to love. I strongly like the Agents of Carter show. The first season, I would say if you like the first Captain America movie, it's almost a must watch.
Okay.
The second season, they do a thing where they like change where they're at, and they like add a really weird element into it.
Okay.
But the first season's really good. First season's really good.
Okay.
But I definitely see why they wanted to expand on Peggy Carter.
Yeah.
And Haley Atwell's a great actress. They have Tony Stark in that one, or not Tony, Howard Stark in that one. They introduced the butler of Jarvis. Yeah. And then they play with a bunch of really early like MCU elements in that time period, which is also very fun.
Yeah. Very fun.
Arnim Zola is introduced as Toby Jones. I love the shot where he's introduced because you like see his face through like a magnifying lens that looks like his face on a screen as his character is in the comics. Because have you seen what he looks like in the comics?
I don't think so.
Look at what Arnim Zola looks like in the comics.
Arnim.
Yeah, he's basically this like living computer.
Oh.
Because he's a scientist in the war that Captain America fought, and then he saved himself by putting him into a computer that, you know, is constantly evolving and always works for Hydra. And you see a hint of that in Winter Soldier.
That's terrifying.
There's an animated version of like he's a villain in the animated Spider-Man show that Disney did, and it's terrifying because he has these like liquid robots that like Terminator style become other people, and it's like you don't know who's a robot or not, and it's, oh my god, that stuff gets me.
That's crazy.
But we have the Tesseract introduced here. I really like that Red Skull is looking for it based off of Norse mythology, and Odin chose to hide it on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of tie-in with the Thor movies in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
We see Howard Stark here, who eventually births Tony. We see, and even Hulk is based off of them trying to replicate Steve's formula.
Yeah,
So
that's so
it's-
true.
So maybe in that regard, he is the core of the MC.
Maybe he
the heart of
is.
the MCU.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which I think
He's
is
the
actually
first
really interesting.
Avenger.
And he has the vibranium shield from Wakanda, and he sends his villain to go find a space stone, one of the Infinity Stones.
Mm-hmm.
It's
kind of crazy.
he's actually very tied into it, which
Yeah.
is interesting the more you unpack it. And and maybe a slight spoiler here, there's someone from the Red Room in the Agent Carter show.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So
Okay.
some interesting stuff there, with how connected it is actually.
Mm-hmm.
But very fun. The action scenes are really fun. I love the scene where he breaks them out, and it's a whole thing where they assume he's dead, and then he brought back one of the biggest saves in fictional American history.
Mm-hmm.
I love what they do with the shield. Super fun. I really like the relationship between Peggy and Steve.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I also like that it's a canon point that Steve is always taken out. Whoever is Captain America is taken out of their time.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a quirky little canon event for him.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Anything else to add?
Just the director, since we're mentioning the other directors.
Yes.
Joe Johnston. He did Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, The Rocketeer.
The first Jumanji movie. I feel like I see hints of the first Jumanji movie.
Yes.
And I love that
Jurassic
first
Park.
Jumanji movie.
Jurassic Park 3, The Nutcracker in the Four Realms.
That one's crazy.
That's crazy.
That one is so left field for me.
Okay. All right.
And then we go to 2012.
The Avengers.
Avengers.
Not the new Avengers that'll
The original,
come,
the OG.
13 years later, but
So our lineup is Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Hulk, Natasha, and Hawkeye.
mm-hmm.
And what a lineup.
It works so well though.
Mm-hmm.
It works really well for me.
I agree.
What a great original six.
I really there's been a recent Avengers comic, and I don't read the comics, but I eventually see glimpses of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember there was a title where they recently redid the Avengers, and it was looking at the team as the God,
Mm-hmm.
the King, the Witch.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually really like using that kind of idea of what does your team look like,
Mm-hmm.
especially when it's supposed to be this ragtag team of people from different corners, which is what the
Mm-hmm.
Avengers is. I'd say that's also what the Justice League is.
Yeah.
So in this one, I would say it's the billionaire, the captain, the god, the monster, the assassin, and the agent. Wouldn't you?
Yeah, something like that. Mm-hmm.
It's
So-
very fun.
I want to circle back to my original question when we first started.
Yes.
If you had to pick a different six, who would you pick?
So actually, interesting note.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Because this is not the.
one of the biggest
the
people
comics.
missing from the original Avengers lineup is the Wasp.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that there was a draft where Joss Whedon wanted to make the Wasp the main character of this movie.
That's kind of crazy.
And isn't
in
that
hindsight.
so crazy
Mhm.
with what we ended up getting?
Yeah.
I think it's crazy.
That could have been fun though.
It could have been. I think it all depends on who you cast. Honestly, I feel like
Yeah.
with what we got, I wouldn't touch it.
Me too. I totally agree with that.
This all just worked so well.
Mm-hmm.
There's even a lot of deleted scenes, and you can watch them on Disney Plus in the extras.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of deleted scenes of Colby Smolder's character Maria Hill,
Mm-hmm.
and it the opening scene was supposed to be an interview with her, and it was so what happened in New York, Agent?
Mm-hmm.
She's there were aliens and monsters and
Mm-hmm.
gods, and the whole point is it was this big accident and this huge mess that was never supposed to work.
Mm-hmm.
And then it ends with her being but it did work. the Avengers were the accident that saved the world, or something like that. And I agree with the sentiment. I do think it shouldn't have been like the starting point of the movie, but the whole idea that like the whole idea of the Avengers as a team should work together. Like these people in a room together hate each other. We see that they hate each other and they don't get along. But you know, it brings up that idea that like when the world needs heroes, there will be heroes.
Yeah.
And I like that sentiment that they carry throughout. I would say the Infinity Saga. I almost feel like that's a thing missing from the most, like, this multiverse saga, is that I feel like they're veering too much away from the Avengers. To the main, it's like, so if aliens invade, who's up? Like, who we got?
Yeah, well, and that's kind of what I was thinking about, seeing the amount of times Samuel L. Jackson's name was on the cast list for these different movies. It's like, we don't have someone like that. And we kind of need someone like that, because you need that. I mean, maybe we're starting to see that with Sam, you know, forming his own team. And then we have the Thunderbolts, but who's going to bring them together? I mean, they know each other, but who's going to be that guy? And like right now they're fighting. They don't like each other. So, you know, like who's going to bring them together? And, you know, for a while I was thinking, you know, maybe Doctor Strange, just especially because he's so,
in the multiverse.
Yeah, and he can easily bring them together with the portals.
Very true.
But now I don't know what's happening with this character. I don't even know if he'll be in the Doomsday film.
He said he wasn't.
I don't know. And it's like, well, then maybe Wong. I don't know what's happening there though. And like, has that been developed enough to make sense? And
I really like how smart it was, because it wasn't Nick Fury that brought them all together. Ultimately, it was Phil Coulson, because he was the agent who brought them all together. He was minus Hulk. But like, even though he wasn't in Captain America: First Avenger, like he was a huge Captain America fan, and he was like, "Hey, so do you want to like sign my cards? I have all." of them."
Watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. if you're sad about him dying. So
yeah, he's such a fun character. His sacrifice works a lot for me.
Yeah.
Some great moments throughout this movie. I really like the whole Battle of New York, the iconic spin, the I'm always angry. I love the
shooting
one
arrow.
The shooting
one
arrow is
with
really
Hawkeye.
great. I really love the one shot of like it's one shot going throughout the Battle of New York,
Yeah.
and like, focusing on every hero, and then like they like fly off, and it's like, oh, here's Hawkeye up here, and then they're passed by like the Hulk jumps in shot, and you're following him. That's so cool.
I love
That's
shots
an
like that.
amazing shot.
Me too.
So great.
Totally agree.
I do also like the iconic, maybe less iconic, but Loki coming in and like the base collapsing in on itself. I really like that whole scene, and him like getting like mind controlling people. I like the effect that it has on their eyes.
Yeah. I really like the scene where Hawkeye shoots an arrow at Loki, and then he kind of catches it and smirks, but then it explodes in its face. And I think Hawkeye says something like, "I got him," like he's got the shot. I love that. Hawkeye technically did not miss. He did what he wanted to do, so it was very fun. But I also like Loki there, where he's like, haha, I caught it. And then he explodes. I like the shot with all of them looking down on him, with the Hulk, like, throwing him around. Like, the conversation between him and Tony. Like, there's so many,
I also like the scene when they're all, like, arguing in the lab, and then it's like, sir, you're going to want to put the staff down. The iconic, not many people can sneak up on me with Black Widow and Loki. And then that whole, like, reverse interrogation scene. Love that. I
also like Captain America showing up with his shield and saying, like, he says something to Loki.
No, you're thinking of the old man. Because he's telling the group of people to kneel, and then there's an old man who's like sitting down in his chair, and he stands up.
Oh yeah, that's late. But then Captain America shows up later. Yeah. But I like the line before that.
I'll never kneel to a man like you. There are no men like me. There will always be men like you.
Ugh, that's honestly probably one of my like top
that
10 lines in MCU.
Line.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So crazy.
So great.
I literally got chills when we said that. Oh my gosh, I love that line. And the fact that it was just like a civilian who said it. Like it wasn't an Avenger. Like it was just like the average person knows. Like there's always going to be guys like you. So.
And then also when the helicarrier goes up, also pretty iconic. I think those are the big standouts for me. Oh no! Also, I like the assembling scene with Natasha when it's like she's in the chair and it's like she has a phone call.
Yeah.
Also a great one.
Oh yeah, she's awesome in that movie.
So how do you feel about Hawkeye being mind controlled most of the movie?
I mean, I think it's a shame, but like, especially because he had the least amount of
Screen time beforehand as well.
Yeah, which I mean, technically, I guess Hulk didn't because it's Mark Ruffalo.
But still the canonic
But it's still
Hulk.
yes. So Hawkeye, I mean, he just barely showed up, and he's already cool. I mean, it's awesome that bow and arrows and like the different kinds of arrows and what he does with it and whatever. His design is cool. Jeremy Renner's very like personable. So I don't know. I do think it's a shame that he had the least amount of lead up and the least amount of development because he was mind controlled most of the movie. But I don't know who I would have picked instead to take that role, to take his place.
I don't know. I almost wish they'd like did more to like maybe through Natasha expand who he is as a character. It's like we had a mission and he saved. I don't know. They like hint at it. I wish they like built it up more like from her side of like what missing her best friend meant to her because obviously it meant everything to her.
Yeah, well, and their relationship is so fascinating in later movies that it's a shame that
we never got to actually see it develop like just on their own. Those two on their own. What a crime.
Yeah.
But I also find it interesting that he kept like jokingly trying to kill himself off. Jeremy Renner trying to kill his character off throughout the filming of that movie. I don't know. I think that's crazy considering he got a lot of money from staying in this franchise, my dude.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I
hope he comes back. I hope they pay him what he deserves and
absolutely.
He comes back.
I really want a Hawkeye season 2.
Yeah. We'll see. They
And then we also
pay him, so.
We also get our first look at Thanos, which I think is very fun.
Yeah, I'm glad it's short though because he's so purple.
Very
he's
purple.
very purple. I'm so glad they kind of redesigned that, but he's still like pretty menacing in that scene. So I love the smile. Oh my gosh, that was a great little tease.
Absolutely.
I wish they knew what was gonna happen with Kang so they could do that here in phases 5 and 6, but they didn't know what was gonna happen. Didn't know they were gonna pivot. So
as they go along,
what can you do?
we're making it up as we go along.
Yeah.
And so in the time stone. Okay, so the Infinity Stones are important to the saga.
Yes.
So as thus, we had the Tesseract in Thor. No, not even in Thor. That was in Captain America.
Yeah.
And then
It's
that
on
ends up in
Earth.
the ocean. It's picked up by S.H.I.E.L.D. and they have it on. The S.H.I.E.L.D. had it to open the whole starting point of the Avengers.
Yes.
And then Thor and Loki take it back to Asgard. And Loki had the scepter, which had the Mind Stone in it.
Yes.
Which is still taken by S.H.I.E.L.D., which eventually is taken over to Hydra. As we know. And those are our only stones thus far? I believe so.
I think so, because Powers, Guardians, Thor the Dark World introduces.
And that's hidden until then.
Yeah.
Vormir for the Soul Stone, and Time Stone is in the Sanctum Sanctorum.
Yeah.
Which is ironically in the Fight of New York, as we later find out. Love that.
It was always there.
So, okay. So we kind of went over all of them. I think we can go ahead and rank them if you want to jump into that.
Okay.
And then maybe start doing just some other questions on it.
Yeah. Okay. We're gonna write it down. Right.
Yeah.
How
as
many?
as we do.
How many are there? Iron Man 1 and 2.
Iron Man 1, 2, Thor, Captain America,
Hulk
and
and
Avengers. So there's 6.
Okay. Oh my god, I'm so hungry right now. You hear my
I do hear
stomach?
that. That
That's
is crazy. You got a Hulk over there.
Oh my gosh. I was at the eye doctor the other day, and the eye doctor was so close to me because he was looking at the thing that looks into my eyes. And I just knew my stomach was about to growl, and I was like, please, please, please. I was so silent in that room, and I was like, please, don't let this happen, please. Okay.
Alrighty, so
Okay.
Starting at number 6, our least favorite movie of
Wait.
Phase 1. I know, I'm just reminding you. So don't.
We all know what it's going to be, though.
Do we? I will say these two are really close for me.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. It is The Incredible Hulk for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a reason it was recast, and it also is the least performing movie of that phase. Second of all of the phases.
Yeah.
So it's there's definitely a reason for it. So number 5, our second least favorite. 3, 2, 1. I have Iron Man 2. Okay,
Yeah.
Iron Man 2 as well. And God knows we talked about why I don't like that movie. At number 4,
This is where I think it starts to get
I
a
feel
little
like
closer. Little.
3 and 4 I also feel like could flip for me, but I'm gonna go with how I know I rank them on like Letterboxd.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. I put Thor.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Me too.
no.
Yeah.
But I will say
We have the
huge,
same list so far.
very large gap between
Yeah.
Iron Man 2 and Thor for me.
Okay.
Wait. Okay, no, I'm losing my mind here.
Okay.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Captain America: The First Avenger.
I feel like
Okay, so I fear we have the
I
same
fear
list.
we have the same list again. It's okay.
Okay, number 2. Sometimes I fear we suffer from being the same person.
Yeah. We're like, well,
3,
okay.
2, 1. Iron Man.
Dang.
Okay.
That was the only one I was a little
Right.
unsure about. Okay, so we have the same list. We have.
And then number 1. Oh my god, I can't wait to learn what your number 1 is.
Oh my god. I
3,
think
2,
it's gonna
1.
be the Avengers.
Oh my god, the Avengers! Crazy.
Yes. So we have the same list. Last Incredible Hulk, then Iron Man 2, then Thor, then Captain America: The First Avenger, then Iron Man, then the Avengers.
Yeah, so
So yeah, that's that.
that is that.
We're gonna get to questions.
Absolutely. So, and I didn't write any of mine down, so mine are just gonna be off the cuff.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about first. I think there's an obvious answer here about who you think the best villain is in the movie, and it's obvious. Literally, ask anyone of Phase 1, and they're gonna say Loki.
Yeah.
Who's second for you? Like, if you had to pick a second
Ooh.
place.
Ooh. Okay, that's fun. Let me look back.
I think I know who my second would be.
So
pretty
we
strongly.
have the Red Skull. We have.
Obadiah Stane, Whiplash, Justin Hammer.
Does Loki count again in Thor?
No, I'm gonna say the difference between the two of them.
Okay. Yeah, Hammer,
Laufey, the Frost Giant
the
King.
leader / the Abomination.
General Ross. I'm trying to think of something else.
I feel like for me, it's easily the Red Skull.
Same here.
Yeah.
Um,
It helps that his design is really cool.
I love his design.
But I want to shout out Justin Hammer.
Yeah, no.
'cause-
I feel like it's Loki, Red Skull, Justin Hammer for me as well.
Yeah, because if he was, the main or only villain, I think he would be more in the running to be my second favorite. But
I also really like with Red Skull how they keep hinting at him having the Red Skull.
yeah,
Like he kills someone in the first scene and like blood gets on the Hydra logo, so you see a Red Skull.
yep,
He's like getting his paint report painting made,
Mm-hmm.
and like the person has like red all over their like paint. What is that called? Like the thing that you put the paint on.
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't paint. I don't know.
You don't. But yeah, I think those three are the real winners as villains here.
Mhm.
And
I agree.
And ooh, okay. Your next question, but next time.
Okay. Okay.
But think about it. I'm gonna ask what your least favorite villain is.
Okay. Well, we already ranked them.
Yes.
We already did villain. Which one is your favorite director?
Director.
And, like Jon Favreau did 2 of them, so it'd be like, your favorite of both. So not Iron Man 2, but, that kind of thing.
And I will say, director. So I'm looking at this from like the visuals of it.
Mm-hmm.
And not. So. And I'm not going to pick Joss Whedon on principle.
Yeah.
I think. Oh. Okay.
I feel like.
Iron Man is really strongly directed.
Mm-hmm.
Like Iron Man 1 is just really strong. And I feel like I have to go with that.
I would also
Close
go
second,
with that.
I would say, is Captain America.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Okay, I need you to stop copying me.
I need you to get out of my brain right now.
But I do like a lot of the stylistic choices of the
Yeah.
Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's also a very strong film.
Mm-hmm.
Then my question:
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Who's your least favorite villain?
Definitely Whiplash.
Right.
Is there any? No.
There's
definitely
the other
Whiplash.
from the Avengers. That weird alien guy that talks to Loki in space.
Eh.
No,
I don't
It's
even-
Whiplash for me.
yeah.
He takes up way too much space in that
Yeah,
movie to
I
be
agree.
what he is.
It stinks too because I feel like he had the potential to be good. He just wasn't developed, and I don't know. It just didn't work. Especially when you have Justin Hammer. Like, come on.
Yeah.
You can't compete with Sam Rockwell. You just can't.
Drive Russian.
Okay.
Okay, your turn.
I already did mine. It's Whiplash.
No.
Oh, you're talking about question. Okay.
Mine's also Whiplash.
Get off my brain. Be your own person. Just kidding.
If I
Okay.
had to pick another one, I would say. I think Arnim Zola. I wish we eventually got to see him be more like he is in the comics because
Yeah.
he's terrifying in the comics.
Yeah. Okay. My next question is, this can be any character, hero, villain, whatever.
Yeah.
Side character, literally whatever. Who's your favorite Phase 1 character?
Phase 1 character. Okay.
Could be an Avenger. Maybe not an
Okay,
Avenger.
I'm gonna throw
Whatever.
some names out there just because I want to shout. I'm not
Okay.
hard picking in. I really like Natasha in Phase 1.
Mm-hmm.
I also really like Phil Coulson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I also really like Peggy.
Mm-hmm.
I love her in that first movie.
Mm-hmm.
Captain America's solid. I feel like he's not my answer though.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, Loki's a great one as well.
Yeah.
Loki's very strong. I want to say Darcy Snape here, even though she's not in the running.
Yeah. I was gonna shout out Darcy and Maria Hill.
Ooh, Maria
Those
Hill.
two.
That one's.
Mhm.
Oh, Maria Hill's such a good casting.
Yeah.
But I wish she was here more.
Yeah. I wish she was in the MCU in general more.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Crazy that she like works for Iron Man for one movie, but then never comes back. I would say Peggy.
Oh, also shout out Pepper because I love Pepper.
Pepper's great.
Yeah. My favorite I feel like is still gonna be Captain America. I just feel like when I first started watching, I just kept going back to him, so I feel like I have to pick him. But then, yeah, I liked the shout outs. I also want to shout out Hawkeye. If he had more to do, maybe he'd be in the running. I really like Hawkeye. The show did a lot for me.
Oh, absolutely. I love
So-
it. I think because he's awesome in the Avengers, but I think I
Yeah.
got really attached to him in Age of Ultron.
Yeah, me too.
And then that going
And then, of
forward,
course-
I really liked him.
Yeah. When they actually, want to focus on him, he's great.
Yeah.
When they remember he
I
exists.
think that's the case with most of these characters because, like I said, the casting is almost never fails.
Yeah.
So it truly is just if you're not in the focus,
Mm-hmm.
like then you're not given your chance to show that you were casted really
Yeah.
well.
Hmm. Also, shout out Rhodey because the recast was fun.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
okay, your turn.
Mine. What do you think if you had to pick a best action scene?
That was one of mine.
Phase one?
Favorite battle was one of mine. So, ooh.
And I almost want to
Oh my
say,
God.
if you can, okay, if you think
Well,
of the one
I
I'm thinking of, I'm
mean,
gonna say it doesn't count, and
is
I'm gonna
it
think of a second.
The Avengers Circle moment.
Ooh, it wasn't the Avengers Circle, but it was the
Okay.
shot where it like follows them throughout the Battle
Oh,
of New
okay.
York.
Yeah. I feel like let's just not even do Avengers. Let's do like the
That's a
other
good
ones. You know, because it's just too iconic.
right,
We have all of
right.
them. Shout out to that though, because
Indeed.
Okay. Let's think. Iron Man.
I think
number
the Black
2.
Widow hallway scene is really up there
Oh.
for me.
Yeah. That one, and then
I actually don't think Captain America really has one for me.
I like when he jumps out of the plane. That's cool.
Yeah.
But then
But
I
I
wouldn't.
don't know how much of it actually counts as action.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Like it's a cool
Like,
scene,
not,
but I,
or,
don't,
like
I
it's
wouldn't call
action,
it a
but it's
battle.
not like a fight scene.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
Thor. It's kind of hard to. I feel
Ooh, with
like
Thor, there's like him versus the gang versus the Frost Giants, which I really like,
Mhm.
and like seeing how everyone fights differently. I love how Loki like uses the illusion to like have someone jump off a cliff.
Mhm.
Some really fun stuff there. And then him fighting the Destroyer isn't great.
I don't know.
Might have to go with hallway scene. I feel like
I'm-
that's the most iconic.
Yeah. I also want to shout out the car scene though, just because I love everything that happens together. I love the suit up, and I love Pepper in that moment.
Indeed.
So that's it. But I don't want to pick that because I don't like the villain in that scene. I don't really
Yeah.
care. So
And then I also think like the Rhodey and Iron Man fight is
yeah,
solid.
that's a good shout out.
And then like I said earlier, the Iron Man first fighting in the Middle East, also solid.
Also,
but
the
I-
mini battle between Natasha and Happy when she takes him down. It's not really a battle, but like I wanted to
No,
shout
that's
that
so
out.
in the running.
Mhm.
But I would go Black Widow hallway scene. I think there's a reason that
Yeah.
that's the one we continue to see in like the opening.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely. So
That's a great one.
yeah.
Yeah, your turn. Your question.
Which from Phase 1, all of Phase 1.
Okay.
Which is your favorite suit?
Okay.
Or I'll say outfit in case you want to pick a villain.
Suit or
I'll
outfit?
do that.
Okay.
If you have a hero and villain one, you can say both. Whatever you want.
I do think Iron Man has that shit on.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I think Loki's Avengers fit is
I was
really
going to say
strong.
that for villain. Hmm.
He definitely is the best dressed villain because look at
Yeah.
him. It might be a bit of. I don't know if I can be a feminist and say this, but I really like Black Widow's suit.
Me too. I was going to say her in specifically Iron Man 2 because
I really like her hallway fight scene.
Yeah. And
Or like that suit. It's oh.
it's so
I don't
it's
know
fun.
if you if you chose to put that on Natasha, I love that for you. If a man
Yeah.
forced you to wear that suit, I'll kill them for you.
Yeah. So, I agree.
Which
I like her suits later when they're, actually like padded and, purposeful.
Mhm.
But it has
I don't know.
it still has a similar design, all black, like
Natasha has a
still-
lot of great looks for me.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if she
I agree.
necessarily has one that I like think is like worse than all the others.
I think the most different one I feel like is when she has the vest with the pockets. But that's not for very long. I don't
That's
think.
fair. I would say that's probably my least favorite look. Because that's only Infinity War.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I also just don't like that she's blonde in that movie.
That is very random.
I do like the braid though in Endgame where it's like the ends are blonde. I like that.
Yes,
So-
I agree.
I don't know.
Feels like they
kinda
had to
fun.
set up for that look.
Yeah. I was like, okay. I wish it was more like, well, I don't know. Never mind.
Trying to think of some other good call outs. Justin Hammers be rocking that look.
Yeah. I mean, again, Red Skull, but that's more like makeup versus costume.
Yeah, he's dressed like a fascist.
Yeah, he is one. So
Yeah, I think we found the strong ones. I think
I mean, I like Captain America's. Hawkeye's is fine. I mean, I just love when he gets the purple one though. So it's like I can't say it because he gets the purple one later. So Thor's is fine. I like the cape. I love capes.
Yeah, I think Loki ultimately wins it for me. I would say it's Loki, Black Widow. I'm gonna say Avengers look,
Okay.
and then
Iron Man.
Iron Man.
I'll say Iron Man 2 Black Widow look just to be a little different.
Which Iron Man suit? I don't know. I really like the original first color one.
Mm-hmm.
I like the suit up into the Iron Man 2 one, like the suitcase one.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't like the divots like on the actual suit itself.
Yeah. So
It's
the classic. It's the classic.
Okay. It's my turn, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you asked outfit. What movie? Do you have more?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna keep thinking of one. So you
Okay.
go again.
Which actor or actress from Phase 1 is your favorite? You can pick one of each.
Ooh, okay.
Because there's a lot. So.
Actress, I fear I have to go with Peggy Carter.
Oh, okay.
I love you, ScarJo. But I don't know. Something about Haley Atwell in that first American movie. I really like her, and we don't see her again, and I feel like I have to give her her flowers.
Yeah.
And
I was gonna say if Maria Hill had more to do, I would pick her, but I'd probably just pick ScarJo. So, shout out Pepper Pops or Pepper Potts. Sorry, girl. Sorry.
You're good. You're killing it. For guy,
Gwyneth
male
Paltrow.
actor. RDJ's good. Ooh.
RDJ, I feel like is like a
Tom-
really like a given answer.
Tom Hiddleston, I think, is up there for me.
Yes.
I fear I'm gonna go with Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk in the Avengers.
Really? Okay.
I really like him
Okay.
in that movie. I think that's his best performance. Borderline in like anything.
Okay, I'm not gonna pick this, but I wanted to shout out Sam Rockwell.
Oh, also strong.
Yeah.
Good shout.
I also want to shout out Anthony Hopkins as Odin. Kat Dennings as Darcy Lewis is also a fun pick.
I will say on Odin,
Oh, and
kinda,
Sif. Sif's actress.
she eats her role. She eats her
Jamie
lines.
Alexander.
I feel like Odin, like, I feel like sometimes he phones it home.
He what?
Sometimes I feel like Anthony Hopkins kind of phones in Odin.
Oh,
A
okay.
little bit. Sometimes he doesn't. Like, whenever he's like Anthony Hopkins playing Loki, playing Odin, like, that's so great.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It feels like sometimes he feels like there's something to be given, and sometimes he's just like, I came back for reshoots. I had stuff going on.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. I just love Anthony Hopkins.
Very valid.
Okay. Let's see. I kind of want to pick Jeremy Renner. Even though he doesn't have a lot to do. I really like him. I don't know. I think he's a fun pick.
That's nice. I mean, I love
Or
me some
Chris
Jeremy Renner.
Evans because
You
he
keep
was
coming
feeling
back.
bad about the role, but that's his role.
Yeah.
So gotta say. So or Samuel L. Jackson. I feel like that's another given, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
Samuel L. Jackson's a strong one as
RDJ
well.
and Samuel L. Jackson are kind of givens, so try to pick something a little different.
I don't know. Like I try to think of like the movies where it's like, would I give someone flowers here as compared to like I think they do a better job in another movie. Like I think Maria Hill does her best work in the first Avengers movie. I think Sam Rockwell, we never see him again, but he kills it in that first movie or in that second movie of Iron Man. And I think everyone has a performance that I like better later on. Like especially of like the main ones.
I agree. That's very fair. I might be a little biased thinking
Although
about
Tom
the Hawkeye
Hiddleston,
show.
I think, does his best work in the Avengers, in the first Thor. I would say that.
Oh, okay. I really liked him in Loki, though.
I like his
where he
work in
takes
Loki,
it.
but I think, I don't know. I think he makes it iconic in Thor 1 in the Avengers.
Yeah.
Like, it's a perfect 1-2 punch for him.
I agree. That's a good pick. Do you have another one? Do you want me to ask another one?
Let's just keep going down your list.
I have 2 left.
Okay, let's go.
Okay. In each Phase 1 movie, which line or joke is your favorite?
I understood that reference. that one's
So,
good.
okay, so Iron Man. I feel like the obvious one is I am Iron Man, but
That's a
you
great
can pick
line.
some others.
Please no gang six. Please no gang signs.
Yeah. That one's hard because RDJ is great. I also want to pick the like Tony Stark built this in a cave with a box of scraps.
I'm trying to think. I feel like
Yeah.
I'm missing an iconic Pepper line from that movie. It's like, including taking out the trash.
Mm-hmm.
Read her
Occasionally
bad.
taking out the trash. She ate with that one.
She
like.
did. The amazing. Oh, I do have. Okay, I have my next question actually.
Okay.
But I also like the scene at the ball, and it's like, do you even know your social security number? 8? Well, you got 1 down. It's like, well, I guess I got you for the other 7 or the other 8.
Yeah.
Very cute. But yeah, honestly, I don't know how you can't pick the either I am Iron Man or he built them in a cave
With the box of scraps. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, actually, no. Mine is gonna be don't waste it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's
Yeah.
mine. Then it
Do
goes
you,
to
do you have one
Hulk.
from the Hulk? I don't. I'm
I'm trying
sorry.
to think if there's
I don't even remember
a
any specific lines.
you won't like me when I'm hungry, but in Spanish.
Okay, sure. Sure, let's do
Just
that.
because that's the one I can remember.
Yeah, so I'll go with that. Okay, Iron Man 2. Is this the one where he says I'm not on my cycle pepper? Or is that a different one? Because I wanted to pick that one, but I don't know which movie that's in.
Probably, I would say.
Let me see. I want to say it's like when they're fighting like by the car.
This is why we never go on vacation is a great line. I think.
Yeah, it is. It's from Iron Man 2. Okay, so that's my pick.
Tony Stark at the end, you can't afford me.
Oh,
At
okay.
Natasha when she comes in uniform, you're fired.
Dang.
Pepper screaming in general.
Yeah. Shout out to
An
that.
iconic
Yeah.
scream.
Shout out.
Oh, I'm trying to think of some other great lines. I'm trying to think of a good Justin Hammer one.
Yeah.
Ugh. You can't afford me is really strong for me.
I don't know.
Jarvis's voice in general.
Okay, good shout out. Good shout out. Okay, I have one for Thor.
Okay.
What is yours from Thor?
From Thor, I really like when he's explaining the way that the 10 realms work and that they're all connected through the world tree.
Mm-hmm.
I really love that. Oh, and then the classic another. Why didn't you just say that?
Why didn't you just say that?
I did.
My pick was when Odin speaks into the hammer.
Oh,
I love that scene.
That is a great line.
Yeah.
Oh, and then like the why didn't you tell me?
Oh,
like
okay.
Tom Hiddleston yelling at Odin.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, love that scene.
Mm-hmm.
He also and then there's like I'm trying to remember if he says any lines before he falls into like the space pit.
Mm-hmm.
Loki's I did it for us.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Okay.
the no. I don't know. There's so
There's
many
some good ones.
There's so many great scenes, and the script and the dialogue is very Shakespearean in it,
Mm-hmm.
and it gives me chills a lot through that movie.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Captain America: The First Avenger. I have mine. I have 2 though.
Ooh. I'm a Captain America.
Okay.
Who are you supposed to be?
I like the I can do this all day, of course. Of
iconic.
course.
I love the save that dance for me.
Yeah. I also like the I don't like bullies one.
So you want to kill Nazis?
So, yeah.
He's still skinny. Tommy Lee Jones.
Probably
I ain't gonna kiss you.
probably when they I feel like they say something around when they throw the grenade that's like, aw. Or whatever. Maybe just like the simple they say something about it not going off or like being fake or whatever.
I know that him and Peggy talk about it when they like get in the car on the way to the thing. Been waiting for the right partner.
Yeah.
Risen her up.
I gotta do I can do this all day,
an iconic Hugo Weaving on the wings of the Valkyrie.
Okay.
Oh, he eats with that one. But no, I have to go with The Last Dance. It's tragic.
Yeah.
I don't want a love story if it's not tragic.
Mm-hmm. Okay, finally, The Avengers.
The Avengers.
I also have mine. I said it earlier.
That man's playing Galaga.
Oh, well, mine is a little more serious. I like the old man one.
Oh.
It's like there will always be men like you.
Go with that one.
Yeah.
But
That's a good one, though.
I gave you that. I reminded you of that one, though. So that counts as you stealing from me.
What?
What are some other good shouts from that?
No, I knew the scene. I just forgot that the old man was the one who said it. I literally brought that up. So.
The Miss Me, and then like the music blaring when Iron Man makes his entrance.
Mm-hmm. Or Hulk throwing Loki around and saying "puny god."
You
I am a god. Or when Phil dies and they talk about something like he had this in his jacket or whatever.
Guess
they
he
have a
never
lot of good
signed it.
lines. Like the whole scene is just great dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
So. He died believing in this and whatever. So.
You want me to put the hammer down? Nope, you shouldn't have said that.
I'm always angry.
Doth
angry.
mother know you weareth her drapes?
Yes, exactly.
Do you know what this
Oh my
is? Shakespeare in the Park.
Oh my god, it's such a good movie. I love The Avengers.
Oh, it's
really
so great.
good.
It truly is iconic.
Okay, you said you had one. Do you remember?
Yes.
I only have one more after this.
Best ship or relationship.
Okay, well that was one of mine, but
Okay.
okay. Well, I wasn't gonna say that one because I was like, I feel like I have too many questions. But I'm glad you brought it up.
Yes.
Ooh. Definitely Tony and Pepper.
They're
me.
very strong. They're
For
very
me.
strong.
I know which one you're gonna pick. So.
How can I not?
Yeah.
I love me some Steve and Peggy.
Yeah.
I'm curious, where do you stand on the Steve and Bucky ship?
I'm more of like Bucky and Sam. I like that ship better. If we're gonna do a Bucky between a Captain America kind of ship, I like them better. So, but I can see it. I'm not gonna sit here and lie and say it doesn't come from anywhere. Like they got chemistry, Like maybe that's just Sebastian Stan,
Recently,
so
we just finished watching The Summer I Turned Pretty, and I can't remember where. No, I think Overcompensating is where I had this thought, where it's like, sometimes your love interest isn't romantic, and it's just like this like soul connection. Like I feel that way between like Benny and Carmen, where it's like you were meant to find each other, but like in a way that you like play video games together every day.
Yeah.
And it's like that's. And are you familiar at all with the YouTubers Dan and Phil?
I don't know. I don't watch a lot of
That's
YouTube.
crazy.
I'm sorry.
Well, there was a whole thing where like they were like shipped, and it was like, oh my god, they're very queer coded. And then like years later, they eventually like came out separately, but never like confirmed any kind of relationship or anything.
Oh, okay.
But I love the way they define.
Like that something like that is gonna happen with Ben Affleck and Matt Damon one day. I mean, come on.
But like the way like the way they described like
Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande, like come on.
Right.
We all know, like it's okay.
But like the way he describes like, and then like I find this person who like, and I like feel like such a strong connection, and it doesn't have to be romantic, it doesn't have to be anything, but it's just this strong thing that like, I don't know, the way he describes like them like meeting and the connection they formed, it feels very much like what they have going on, where it's like, it's a connection that lasts throughout time. And goes across space, and it's.
I mean, I really like their relationship. That's for sure.
Yeah, it feels like very Glinda and Elphaba coded, where it's like it feels like if there is romance there, that's almost not the point. It's like besides the point if there's romance there.
See, I feel like that's him and Sam for me. So especially now that they're fighting, it's like, oh no, their first lovers quarrel. Like, just get over yourself.
No, you're right. This is what I should compare The Summer I Turned Pretty to.
Okay. Okay. We gave our answers for that. Period. Yeah. Okay. Favorite post-credit scene, and I have a list of them, so we can go over
okay.
them.
There's the original
In Iron Man, you have, bringing up the Avengers Initiative. The Incredible Hulk has one where Tony Stark meets Ross, tells him a team's being put together. Thor, or this is Iron Man 2, the Thor hammer in the desert. Thor has Eric Selvig in a shield facility with the Tesseract.
That might be worth a look. I love that line. Actually, I feel like I say that line a lot whenever someone's like, "Oh, we might want to take a look at that." I'm like, well, that might be worth a look. You don't know why. It's the way he says it.
Ooh, Captain America: First Avenger. He's boxing and not boxing.
Oh, the end of Captain America is an ad for the Avengers movie.
Yeah, for sure. And then the Avengers has two. It has the Thanos one and then the shawarma one.
The shawarma is iconic. I heard that they filmed that right after the premiere.
Oh, okay.
And that's why, like,
it's really funny.
He's Captain America.
Yeah.
Covers his mouth because he doesn't have. Because I think he was growing a beard for something.
Yes, I've seen that.
And then for a tidbit on the Incredible Hulk one, they actually put out a short afterwards called The Consultant because they realized that one didn't make any sense.
Okay.
Because, they sent Iron Man to seemingly, like, why would they tell Ross about the Avengers? And it's because he doesn't have the Hulk. Mm-hmm. And so they're like, it's like Phil Coulson and some other agent being like, so what's happening with Ross? He's like, he wants us to put Abomination on the Avengers. And it's like, what? That's horrible. That's a horrible idea. It's like, okay, so we need to find someone to send to him to make him not want to give us who he wants to put on the Avengers team.
Yeah.
It's like, how do we do that?
Send Tony Stark.
So how did it go? Ross got so mad that he tried to kick Iron Man out of the bar. So then Iron Man bought the bar. Oh.
Crazy.
There's some fun shorts.
Okay.
There's like they're called one-shots.
I know. I've seen most of them.
There's Peggy. Did you see Item 47?
No, but I was going to say maybe we talk about this another episode because this episode is pretty long.
Fine.
We're talking about post-credit scenes. You got to pick one.
Post-credit scene, fine. The Avengers Initiative. Followed closely by Thanos.
Boring.
Thor's hammer.
I'm just kidding. I was gonna. I was maybe gonna pick Thor's hammer. That was one of mine, and then I'll pick the shawarma one since that one's just so fun. So we need more people are so like, oh my god, they have to be important, and I'm like, no, it's actually really fun when one's like kind of stupid and silly, and then one's like.
I think Thunderbolts hit it on the head.
Yeah.
With how to do your post-credit scenes.
Yeah, absolutely. So. There you go. And it was kind of fun because they had the longest post-credit scene out of any of the movies.
Indeed.
So, yeah. Anyways,
that's fine. All our questions?
Nope. I'm probably going to ask the same questions for each phase because, it works. You want to know for each phase.
Absolutely.
Which is your favorite whatever or least favorite whatever.
Can I ask one last question and then we'll end the episode?
Yeah.
Best weapon.
Ooh. Phase 1. Okay. So... Does the suit count for Iron Man? Okay, the suit. You have the whips and Whiplash. You have, I guess, Natasha's gun.
Because she doesn't use the bullets. She doesn't use the
widow
bites.
The widow bites. Yeah. The hammer.
Thor's
Mjolnir.
Hammer.
The scepter.
The bow. Hawkeye's bow. The shield. Like the Tesseract guns.
I feel like I want to say Mjolnir.
I would also say Mjolnir. I love Thor was my favorite for a really long time because I loved the hammer.
Mm-hmm. Well, the hammer's really cool. And then
meow
meow. Jonathan. Mila Janoy.
Paul Rudd, you are
I love
an American
you, Paul
treasure.
Rudd. Ugh. Anyways, you deserved a better trilogy than what you got. Anyways. I love when he has the taco. It just looks right as he's about to eat it. He's right about to take a bite. And it just blows away. His face is so sad. Anyways, we'll get to that later. We need to be done, but I need to answer. Oh my god. I guess I'll do it with owner because I can't answer right now.
Right.
Ugh.
Oh, or the Destroyer was also one.
Anyways.
Okay.
Anyways.
Well, I think that's going to wrap up our conversation on Phase 1. Please let us know what you guys thought.
We'll eventually probably do Phase 2, split 3 into 2 parts, and then see how best to approach 4 and 5.
Yeah, so I have no idea, man.
But keep an eye out for that. Things are a little slow
Yeah.
for us right now, so those might be coming in the near future. Let us know what you
Yeah.
guys think about Phase 1. What's your favorite movie?
Mm-hmm.
And until next time, I'm your host, Luke.
And I'm your other host, Alicia.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Not So Straight Nerds.
Bye.